kids, and welcome to our next installment of Mrs. Bracken's Cardboard Theater. Today we are going to talk about food chains. Food chains are going to be one of several different ways that you can show how energy and matter move through an ecosystem. It shows a relationship where one organism is consuming another organism. So each of our food chains is going to start out with a producer. A producer, if you remember from our last video, is an organism that can take sunlight and carbon dioxide, and through the process of photosynthesis, it can turn it into food energy. So here is our producer. We're going to use a plant. Remember, plants are not our only producers. You could also have algae, phytoplankton, and those could also be the producers in an ecosystem. So we're going to start off with our producer, and he is going to get eaten in our fictitious little ecosystem here by a triceratops. Okay, now you'll notice that I put an arrow in between those two organisms, and that's because it is going to show you where the matter and energy is coming from and where the matter and energy is going to. So in this case, the producer's energy is moving into our triceratops whenever it gets consumed. Now that makes the triceratops, first of all, a consumer. It also makes it an herbivore because it's eating a producer. Now there's a third title that we can also give it. It is the first kind of consumer in our food chain, which makes it a primary consumer. Primary consumers are going to be the organisms that eat the producers. Now, it's not all sunshine and roses today for our triceratops friend because he has happened upon a T-Rex. Here's our Tyrannosaurus Rex. And now the energy and the matter that was in that Triceratops has been moved into our T-Rex. This makes the T-Rex a carnivore because he is eating a consumer. It also makes him a secondary consumer. Secondary would be the second level of consumer. So the secondary consumers eat the primary consumers. Now, I don't have a dinosaur that eats T-Rexes here at the house. So we had to make do with an extra fictitious scenario in our food chain because I did want to show you the next level of what a food chain would be called. So we're going to put our arrow here again, showing the energy moving from one organism to another. And our third level of consumer is going to be the Incredible Hulk because, well, why not? And so our Incredible Hulk is going to be our tertiary consumer. Tertiary consumers eat secondary consumers. The tertiary consumer is going to be usually the top of the food chain. It can go usually maybe one level higher with what's called a quaternary consumer, but what we're going to learn more about in future lessons is that each time you bump up a level, you're going to lose some energy between the thing that is being consumed and the consumer because the consumer needs energy to live. So our Triceratops requires a lot of plants in order to survive, and our T-Rex requires a lot of Triceratopses to survive, and our Hulk requires a lot of T-Rexes to survive. And so if you start adding too many layers onto your food chain, it just becomes a system that does not work so well. So as long as you know primary, secondary, and tertiary consumer, for most ecosystems, you have all the terms that you need. If you need a fourth level, like I said before, it's called the quaternary consumer. This is one of the ways that you can show how energy flows through an ecosystem. Now, I want you to think about how a food chain could limit showing how energy is flowing through an ecosystem. How this simple: the plant is eaten by the Triceratops is eaten by the T-Rex is eaten by the Incredible Hulk, how that could limit your knowledge of how an ecosystem is functioning. And as you ponder that, you will move on to our next lesson on food webs and hopefully get more information on how to more clearly show what is happening in an ecosystem. Until that time, I will take a break for now and talk to you again later. Bye, kids.